Yeah. Well, don't hurt. Yep.
Mm.
We open up our scene as the camera looms over the Black Keep, located in the heart of the Arcanian Empire. Its peaks are steeped with spires that belong to some of the upper members of the Rune Hunter Court. Moving down, it goes into the apex of the building, currently littered in what seems to be intricate patterns that describe past events that's happened over the history. All of these solidified and shown in what looks like stained glass murals of black, silver, and gold. Continuing down, we reached a courtyard that seems to be busy of different recruits of both Ruin and Witch Hunter alike, going through their daily rounds, preparing for them to become the killers that they all are expected to be. And as we continue, we pass by the Black Gate and the drawbridge that's being let down into the cold winter air, to see the small caravan of different carts and individuals currently coming to the Black Keep. These could be filled with prisoners, recruits, traders, people looking for shelter. But as we continue to move on, we find ourselves currently hovering over two separate individuals amongst this rabble. We go ahead and start with the first one.
So, amongst the caravans, most of them are following a clean-ish line. There is one, however, that seems to be driven slightly more erratically than the rest. The driver is a man, or at least what seems to be a man, could very well be a woman given how they dress and look, who can best be described as coming off of the biggest bender in existence. A very harsh contrast to most other witch hunters and ruin hunters, who are mostly on the professional side. The caravan itself is a little bit stained here and there, and the horse that is drawing is perhaps the most immaculate part of the entire thing, as it seems that the driver has taken very good care of them. And the person seems to be wearing a pair of very dark shades, despite not necessarily being weathered to use such shades at the moment, and sports a rather mischievous grin despite the place where they are going to. The only other identifier of this person is a red tie on their suit, as well as their jet black hair, which reaches down to their shoulders.
On one of the wagons coming in through the gate, a man hops off from the back, giving the driver a polite thank you and smile as he turns his head to look at the grounds. His face is weathered from years of service. The wrinkles in his eyes accentuate as he squints to look over the recruits, judging their stances as well as their strikes. He gives off a low sigh as he brings his hands behind his back as he begins to walk forward into the keep. He wears heavy clothing, some with furs, some with more manufactured patterns and fabrics. On his sides, he sports 2 blades as well as a bow on his shoulder. On top of his head is a woolen hat, though carried on his side is the typical wide-brimmed black hat of the Hunters of the Black Hold. As he silently makes his way through.
And with that, we watch as our 2 protagonists make their way within the Black Keep's hold. As the drawbridge slowly arcs up, it makes a resounding boom as we get our title drop, Requiem, Judged for Death.
Nice.
A little
It's kind
later
of curious how those letters appear out of nowhere, don't they?
A little later on, we find our protagonists currently held up in what could only be described as their personal lodging. Go ahead and describe what your room would look like, Hojin.
Hojin's room would be filled with perhaps a lot of memorabilia from his years as a hunter. Perhaps he'd have a few gifts from townspeople that have thanked him for his work. A few pieces of maybe a plant here from one region, perhaps a animal head from another. He has a painting hanging on his wall of what looks to be a younger him and a female figure. They seem to be in a loving embrace, smiling in a flower field. His bed is close to the ground, not very big. On the wall might be a few rather worn swords that he's used along his journeys. Many of them damaged beyond repair, and perhaps any less any less what's the word I'm looking for when you hold on to things? A sentimental person would probably have those thrown and used for scrap metal, but Hojin seems to hold on to them. Some sort of meaning to him.
And as the camera moves past the door, down several halls and into a separate tower, we enter into Alex's room, which you can go ahead and describe.
Alex's room is not precisely orderly, but there is some measure of logic to the chaos. While there are many clothes strewn about, seemingly discarded and forgotten by him, there are plenty that have recently been taken care of, either washed by him or he just paid someone else to do it. Either way, they are ready for him to take out. Apart from that, there are papers and files from cases that he's worked before on a desk that are not all completely in order. The ones that have been finished are in a neat little pile, but the ones that are still open, at least still open to him, or them, rather, are, well, needless to say, it's a bit chaotic. It's like he works with it's like he works with the speed of thought more than anything else. More importantly for them, there are mementos of those places where they've been that are actually important to them. One of which is rather curious, a drawing that doesn't seem to be made by them, but that depicts two young children in a location that appears to be, at least for those who may know about it, Jarakia. Apart from that, there is a distinctly large amount of things such as tools for grooming and the like, not for people but for animals, as well as the ever so requisite number of tools of the trade, for which weapons, thieves' kit in his case, and any other such trinkets that may be required during their travel.
So it's around this time. Finally making it to your room after putting your horse in the stable, you hear a knock on your chamber door.
I'm coming, hold on. They just get somewhat presentable and open the door gently, with the shades placed off to the side so as to look at the person with naked eyes. Yes.
On the
Hello.
other side is Angelo Pearson, a very tall, stout, serious-looking witch hunter that has a reputation of finding punctuality to be the best killer in most of his situations. He turns to look at you after looking at a small circular instrument in his hand and then snapping it shut. He just speaks in a very dull tone. You're late.
Okay. So upon noticing Angelo, Alex just looks over to the clock as it closes and then just looks at him and is like, I prefer the term fashionably late.
Fashion has very little in what we do, Alex.
I beg to differ. Who do you think picked the brim hat? Those look very cool.
A more
Be completely-
intelligent man than you, he says with exasperated sigh, making his way into the room without waiting for you to accept his entrance.
Alex is used to this, so he just opens the door and he just lets. Alright, don't just hold your horses. I'll get my things and we'll get along.
Well, we'll have to wait, he says, standing in the middle of the room, not sitting down or really standing near any of Alex's stuff in here. It's more the act of just coming into the room to speak privately more than expecting to be handled while here.
Alex just looks at him a bit curious. You're not here to chew me out.
As much as I would prefer to give you a nice tongue lashing, that is not why I'm here. And without turning, he would remove what looks like a letter from the inside of his jacket as he holds it towards you, as a seal of the Ruin Hunter General seems to be planted on it.
Alex just seems a bit taken aback. Just says, tongue lashing, please. Angelo, dinner and a play first. Let's take the letter, and he will very quickly scan over it, noticing the Ruin Hunter seal, of course, and just say, "Are you sure this is not meant for somebody else?"
Trust
You
me,
know, they
I've
don't-
sent in 3 requests to ensure that this was not a mistake.
Well, glad you have the same confidence in me as always, old friend.
It has not been a very long time that the Ruin Hunters have accepted us in their ranks, he says, turning on his heel, his hands still crossed behind his back. You have proven yourself as a witch hunter, that is true. But if that is what I believe it is, I prefer a more steady mind. Be involved in whatever they need to make sure that our representative is seen as such.
I will make sure that they know that I only speak for myself. After all, we wouldn't want them to get their panties in a twist about who I keep as companion.
Yes.
Besides, look on the bright side. At the very least, they'll realize that we're all nice to animals. Or at least I am. I don't know about you.
And as you give the conversation pause, you begin to open the note and take in the words that are on the page. It's at this time, on the different side of the Black Keep, dinner has come, and with it, you haven't been here in a while, Hojin, as you make your way towards the cafeteria, hopefully to scrounge up something that's worth eating. As you make
Yes.
your approach, you take note of the Ruin Hunters that you come across, going down a specific path, looking at rooms to see who's occupying them, as you come across the grim knowledge that rooms occupied by people you once called friends seem to be emptied and replaced with new recruits. As that subtle information slowly hits home.
Yeah, he'll frown. Bring a hand up to his beard as he scratches it in a bit of a tick of just discomfort as he walks across these rooms.
You wouldn't be the oldest human that's still within the Black Order. but there's not many ahead of you that remain at this point, as your list of friends seem to dwindle with each passing season. But you make your way down to the food court, and much to your surprise, Chadwick, the Black Order's resident cook, someone that you remember seeing when you first came in as a kid, who rarely aged a day since then, is continually passing on food with the chipper yet forceful manner that he always has been since you've known him. Alright, that's taters, meat, sauce. Move on, hurry up. Alright, taters, meat. Oh, Jen, you're back.
Yes, for however long that will be. Chadwick, how's it been?
As it always is. Taters, meat, and sauce.
Of course.
As he gives you a smile and a pat on the shoulder. But with that pat, you also get that he's not giving you any favoritism on not holding up his line.
Okay, alright. Have a good day.
He waves you along, and then as you walk away, you can hear from behind you. Taters, meat, sauce.
Well, we'll go find a place to sit.
Looking about, you can see a couple of tables filled with new recruits that try their best to be as intimidating as possible, giving their own mean mug and trying to solidify some type of identity within the ranks of witch hunters, or within the ranks of ruin hunters, and witch hunters alike. And then that thought comes to mind as well. It hasn't been long since the Black Keep had openly accepted witch hunters into their training ranks. Seeing the mixed classes, it's almost blatantly obvious who sits onto what side of what table. As you can see, cliques seemingly forming around the children and young adults that, with your eye, can easily parse through those that are of the Witch Hunter Order and those that are of the Rune. You also get that's up to you to describe, but at how you feel about this. Each time you pass a table, the Ruin Hunters immediately stand from their table, giving you a Ruin Hunter salute, and not breaking it until you pass by. And the Witch Hunters, not so enthusiastic about doing the honorifics, still do what they can to salute you amongst your way, but don't necessarily wait for you to dismiss them in that. As you begin to head towards a table of what looks like Rune Hunter teachers that are overseeing the area over here. Amongst them, you see an old friend, Amelia Aaron.
Amelia, how long has it been?
Long enough that your beard has turned fully white, it seems. Amelia looks to be a human of around 50 years. One of the most striking things about her is her very bright blue eyes that seem to exude warmth and calm, which is a complete contrast to her rather strict and explosive temper when things are not done correctly. She would gesture to the seat next to her for you to sit.
Thank you.
The new sprouts came in this week.
Yes, I saw.
They hardly know what respect is, but they'll learn. They'll learn.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
So you returned, eh?
For now, yes.
She'd give you a coarse look, looking you over. And the difficulty of the job?
Well, I like to say that despite the years, I've still got it.
It feels like with all of us, that's all that we seem to retain with age. She gives off a soft chuckle.
Oh, I'd say I'm still as handsome as ever.
I changed my mind then. Ignorance seems to stay as well.
Haven't changed at all.
She'd smile before sipping onto her tea, which you're interrupted as what you can assume is a newly graduated individual of the Ruin Hunter Order would run up towards your table, standing next to you and giving you a salute, and then standing there expectingly.
Oh. Pardon. He puts down his plate and stands up and gives him a respectful bow. Is there something the matter?
Master Hojin, I have a parcel for you. It's by Terran Olfen. I come directly from his office. He told me to fetch you right away.
Oh, well. He looks over to Angela. No rest for the wicked, I see. He holds out his hand to receive the parcel.
Sure enough, it is marked with the stamp of Terran Olfen, the Ruin Hunter General.
Well, let's see what our general has in store for us.
And as you open it, we finally get to see what is on the inside of the contents of this letter, as it reads. To those reading this, I request a meeting of your personhood. We shall meet within the second hour of the high sun. Come alone. There's much that needs to be spoken of. As it's finally signed, Terran Olfen, Rune Hunter General. And as we pull away, we're back in Alex's room. As Alex, you finished reading the contents of the letter. Currently, Angelo is looking towards you expectingly. Obviously, him not being privy to what the letter contains.
Man, they sure have a flair for the dramatic, don't they? And I need to go meet with the Ruin General alone for a private Hopefully this will end better than most of my private matter.
Angelo frowns. Might be able to request that we come as a group. I feel like...
No. He just put a hand to Angelo's like, just no, shh, no. I can handle this. Don't worry. You can take the training wheels off of me.
You have only just come back from your third. excursion.
And
Speaking
it
with the
went
room,
well. Kind of.
were you even able to find the witch?
Yes. I was able to find them, and I was able to deal with them. It just involved a chase around the town, but I got him in the end.
He's looking at you and just blinking.
Look, we all know that if you don't want to have your fruit stand be destroyed, you don't have it in a town that is prone to chases. It's an unspoken rule of adventuring. It always gets destroyed in the process.
You're wearing someone else's boot.
He'd look down and just notice, oh, so that's why I've been walking funny all morning.
He sighs and just pinches the bridge of his nose.
Okay, Angelo, I get it. I'm not exactly family friendly. I'm not exactly the kind of person you go and take home to mom and... But I get you results. And besides, it wouldn't hurt you to consider what I've said before. Some of these other witch hunters could do their job a lot better if they had a little bit more empathy.
We can't afford empathy.
Right, yeah, you see, that's how things get fucked. Look, clearly the Ruin Hunter General has noticed that I have something that they need right now.
Clearly.
So, let's see what that is. It's a win-win situation for you anyhow. If I do things well, it shows that you're all picking witch hunters that can do the job well regardless of how crazy they are. If I do the job wrong, you have a reason to kick me to the curb. It's a win-win for you.
He pauses as he starts pondering that consideration. That's right. Very well. You will do as the letter requests. Though afterwards you will return to me and inform me what it is that you have been requested of.
Oh, why do you have to take all the fun out of it? Can't I keep some mystery to myself?
And just like he always seems to do without your noticing, he just has this ruler in hand as he just taps it towards your cheek. You will return with the information.
Noted. It's just putting his shades on just to try and hide his eyes from it.
As he would let go of the ruler as it just seemingly slides down his coat sleeve before crossing his arm behind his back again and begins to walk towards your door. And please find a matching boot before you leave. The least you can do is look presentable.
Yeah, don't worry. I've got a change of clothes around here somewhere. I'll make sure to go there nice.
And without making an inclination or noise or nod or anything like that, he goes to the door, opens it, and leaves, leaving you alone in your room.
Alex turns around, looking over his mess of a room as he thinks, where did I leave my boot?
And it's with that thought, the scene swipes back to the cafeteria. Hojin reading the summons from Terran Elephant.
Well, that's
Did they finally fire you?
Oh, no. No. Serious business. Serious business indeed. He folds up the letter and pockets it. I'm apparently being summoned for... has anything happened since I've been gone?
She'd frown. There's not many left of us from the 75th class. You know, Boris fell. The newer classes haven't been able to show any timely success in the long term, though their losses were sad. Their lives were cut shorter, and Ruin Hunters' lives just do not seem to last as long as they used to.
Well, we'll get better. Things will get better. We just need to toughen them up. Better at... well, after this is done, perhaps I can try my hand at teaching.
She leaned back and raised a brow. You're finally willing to put down that life of yours to actually grow into something else. I thought you said that you'd never stop hunting.
Well, as time goes on, at some point I will need to put it down eventually, I suppose, and who knows, maybe after this is done, a few weeks' time, perhaps I can apply myself to, well, in a different way.
For the first time, she seems to be lost without a witty remark to that. She just seemingly nods in agreement.
Arjun nods back. I guess, I shouldn't keep our general waiting, can I?
You come back. I have a few classes that I'm willing to offer for you to teach. You hear me? In the voice you can hear the inclination that no witch hunter or ruin hunter could truly share their emotion, but the intention of wanting you back and that emotion seemingly spared through those words without exactly saying the truth behind them.
He bows. Respectfully. I'll do my best. And turns to leave to meet with the general.
As we come back, our scene opens up with Hojo currently sat in a room, which is this long corridor leading to the witch hunter, ruin hunter general's office. Next to his office, sat at a desk, is a secretary who seems to be pinning up different writs to possibly be sent out to ruin hunter and witch hunter alike on the field. The room has a very earthen scent to it, mixed with cinnamon on the air. And sitting here slightly fills you with anxiety from just how silent it is outside of the sounds of the secretary scratching her notes into the paper. It's at this time that the door opens rather boisterously as Alex makes his debut entrance into the chamber room.
So, Alex walks in wearing a well put together outfit, which they hope no one realizes is just pieces that from different sets of clothes just cobbled together that kind of mix and match in a decent color palette. A white jacket, black shirt, as usual red tie, pants and boots that, much to Angelo's delight, do actually match and seem to actually be his. He just walks in the room, shades still on despite it being relatively dark inside the building. Has to keep up the style as he walks forward to talk with the secretary. I have a meeting with the Ruin Hunter General.
The woman seems to continue to write and not look up to you. She just speaks in a very plain manner. You may take a seat and wait. Your meeting is not for another 10 minutes.
Oh, I didn't realize he was still... He'd turn around to see Hojin there. He seems to just squint for a moment, because he swears he's heard of someone like this before.
Hojin looks up at him and gives him a pleasant smile.
Alex will just look for a place to sit, and he has issues staying in just one position in the seat, but he will sit down close by.
Currently, the room
And just
is
politely nod.
currently decorated with a singular red plush bench that fits the entire line of the wall of the room. There's not many comfortable positions one could get since it's no armrests or whatnot, since it's just a single bench. But that's where you'd be able to sit.
He'd just do whatever he can with just sit in the awkward as heck position. She's like, nope, gotta sell the look. Angela told me to look the part of a proper witch hunter. I'm gonna do it. He is failing miserably at it.
Meanwhile, Hojin, as you look to Alex, you also recall someone similar to this description within the grapevine, which, at this time, let's go ahead and describe what either myths or truths are told of each other's character. And I think it'll be fun if we had you tell the myths or truths of someone else's character. So, Hojin.
Oh, Jesus.
Tell me what you know about Alex Delta.
Oh, I want to hear about this.
Thinking back on the description of a witch hunter with shades and a tie, Hojin's probably heard tales of an Alex Delta witch hunter of great renown and debatable fashion sense. He's probably heard quite a few interesting miscellaneous tales of this man who has probably a myth of being being turned into a chicken by a caster that he was attempting to put to justice, and actually defeating her within said form before being reverted back into his regular human self.
And Alex, stealing some glances at Hojin from your peripherals blocked by your sunglasses. What myths do you know about this grizzled old ruin hunter?
Alex will probably remember that he's heard tale of the way in which he's cut down witches and ruin creatures all across the land, of his stalwart efforts to drive chaos back wherever he may find it. Sometimes that involves literally taking things to the face of the enemy. Sometimes that involves just whipping people up to shape. In a way, Odin reminds him a lot of his friend, quote being there, Angelo. And he remembers specifically one great tale that is said of Odin being surrounded and yet coming out on top. It is said that every time he draws his blade, blood will coat the soil.
And with you each having your own ideas of each other, what is it that you both think when stealing glances towards each other?
Upon seeing what he believes to be Alex Delta, Hojin is I'd say that with the stories that he's heard, he assumed that a lot of it has been exaggeration in terms of how this man presents himself and the type of aura that he does emit. But upon seeing him now with the sunglasses, the tie, and the way that he doesn't seem to be able to sit still on this couch, or seems very uncomfortable trying to do so.
In my defense, it's a very uncomfortable couch.
Hojin is he's taken a bit aback at just how loud this man is.
And then on the other side of the mental train, Alex. What is he thinking about Hojin finally seeing him in the flesh?
Seems to eye him up and down, and Alex seems to think that does certainly look like the man the legends tell, although he was expecting someone a little bit more action hero-like. In a sense, Hojin almost seems like a regular old man, not the sort of hero with a mane 6 feet long that just flies in the wind as he just vanquishes witches with a mere thought. That said, he does quite like the turban. Apart from that, he just also said, "Oh, glad I don't work with people like that. Seems like a stick in the mud."
And as you both sit there in awkward silence, the sound of a bell echoes in the room as the secretary speaks out. "The Rune Hunter General will see you now."
Thank you.
And with that, you guys watch as you both stand up and then pause, looking at each other.
Excuse me, I thought I had the invitation.
Well, it appears both of us do, it seems.
Alex will lift a finger as they're about to say something. Then just that finger retracts as he thinks about it. Realizes that that may have been the idea to begin with, and he just mutters, "Okay. Then,
Wrong?
shall we?"
Well, I suppose we shall, after you.
Alright. As they go in, Alex will offer his hand to Hojin. Alex Delta.
Hojin. Shakes it.
The Hojin?
Yes, and I think I've heard of you as well, Mr. Delta.
Just a fair warning, some of those tales are exaggerated.
Is the chicken one exaggerated?
Let's not talk about that one for now. Alright? Let's just
Very well.
let's go. Ruin General is waiting. Come on. He just pushes him through this like he just looked back to the secretary. It's not true. It's not true at all. Just goes back in.
Entering the room, this room of Taran Olfand is currently decorated with different pelts and whatnot on the wall. A stuffed ruin beast's upper quarter seems to be just in the corner of the room, just showing this very threatening position of its claws out and looking like it's ready to pounce. That is just hanging over the desk of Taran Olfand, which seems to be this black cherry wood-like desk. Meanwhile, the Ruin Hunter General is currently sat at his chair, arms crossed. Taran Olfand is a man of 34 years of age and a bald head. His features show of a boy that grew his life fighting and continued to fight until he fought to where he found himself. He's the one that initially started the melding of the Ruin Hunters and Witch Hunters, seeing that the two orders working against each other, or not working with each other, is the same as working against each other, and formed a new order that really probably saved many lives with their conjoined efforts. But currently, Taran Olfand is not the only person in this room. As the two of you enter, you see another individual, currently clad in what looks like silver-plated armor. A cape with the Arcanite royal sigil seems to be hung on his back, that's latched together by bulk fur around his neck, making it somewhat like chin guards. His face seems to be the jawbone of a soldier, but his stance seems to be one of authority. And the way that he holds it makes you feel like he has it even over you, even though he doesn't seem to be a witch hunter and or ruin hunter at all. And finally, a woman. Not human, as you initially thought, as you see the pointed ears and the rather white complexion of the Vervin-like female. Her Vervin tattoos currently marred in blue patterns of art around her cheekbone, going all the way over her eyes. Her frame seems to show an athletic build, though you're questioning the reason for it, since she doesn't seem to be armed with any weapons. But you, being in the positions that you are in currently, don't lead you to accept truths just out of the visual inclinations. Someone like that wouldn't be here without either being powerful or having a very good reason. So as the two of you enter into the room, Taryn gestures to one of the seats for you to be sat, or to sit in. Currently, the only person in the room not seating is the soldier-like individual who stands to the side of Taryn's desk, still in front, with his arms crossed and a very sour look on his face.
Hojin will bow respectfully as he enters the room and then take a seat.
Alex will do the same, going hopefully for a seat that is a bit more comfortable.
And as you two sit down, immediately the soldier individual would speak up. Is that it? Is this all you can afford me? We've traveled here for days, requesting for aid. As Taryn would look towards the man. I understand that you traveled here with haste. But you have to understand my order is currently working through many different cases right now. I have you know he gets cut off by the soldier. That everything you do here, the Arcanian Empire pays for. You would not be here if it was not for the supreme mercy of our king. As he gets cut off, as Taryn just gives him a very hard stare, as the soldier would kind of grit his teeth and take a step back, cutting his sentence off short. As I was saying, I respect what you did to come here and request aid personally. I would like to introduce you to two of my finest. As Taryn holds a hand out towards Alex for you to introduce yourself.
Right. Hello. I'm Alex Delta, Witch Hunter Extraordinaire. Pleasure to meet you. He'd get up and just, try and seem as professional as possible with a small bow.
And then look at Hojin with the same manner for you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Hojin will stand up and do another bow and straightens up. Hojin, Ruin Hunter.
That name seems to give the knight-like individual a reaction. As Taryn would, go ahead.
It's a pleasure to meet you. As he would sit back down.
As Taryn would speak up and bridge his fingers together in front of him. As you can see, I did not take your request lightheartedly. I fetched for some of the most professional individuals that I can find. The statement that he says, kind of turning, looking at Alex. Because I understand the seriousness of your request. Going back to look towards the knight.
Alex will just bite his tongue and just give a polite smile as he sits back down to mention the professional, like, professional. Sure.
I see. Well, I may have been misplaced with my words earlier. I thank you for the seriousness of handling my request. As Taryn would gesture with his hands. Your thanks is duly noted. As he looked towards you two. Reason why I request the two of you to meet me today is, as you can guess, I have a hunt for you. Albeit. He then gestures towards the Vervin woman who is currently just sat with a very calm look on her face. As she would speak. Moreover, I have a request. Forgive me for not introducing myself sooner. She stands and gives you both a proper bow. I am Grand Magus Zara Zuth of the Arcanian military. As she would look towards the other individual who clips his heels together and does an Arcanian salute. I'm Commander Grand Cross Sir Alistair Brindo. As you guys immediately begin to understand the gravity of the situation that you're currently in, as you're in a room of two of the most influential individuals within the Empire currently.
Alex seems a little bit taken aback. He says, I am charmed to meet you, but given that you're here, I have to ask just how grave is the situation that's sent you to our abode?
Zara would stand and pull out what looks like a scroll and give you one and give Hojin one. Recently, we have been getting complaints in the Northwest in accordance to what normally would be appearances of witchcraft or witchery. We have sent individuals to handle this issue as per the proper request line through your order. She gestures towards Taryn when speaking like that, and Taryn nods. Unfortunately, all means of handling this situation have been in vain. And I fear that if this is not resolved soon, we may have either a witch coven or a witch queen on our hands.
A witch queen, Hojin says with a grave tone in his voice as he listens.
That does not sound particularly pleasant. I see why you called for us.
And that isn't all. We've also got note that in that area, complaints about a beast, Inuyaikin in appearance, though more canine, larger than it should be, is also attacking military encampments. The men there stating that no arrow, bullet, or sword can harm it.
We'll see about that. You tend to have to get creative on these things, but I've found usually that the people that claim bullets are not effective against a target are the ones who really shouldn't be holding a weapon to begin with.
That being said, the issue is of grave importance due to the proximity of the area towards Prim.
You'll have to excuse me, I am not too familiar with the area.
It is a location where the king's son resides.
Okay, yeah, that does sound pretty terrible. As he says that, Alex is adjusting himself on the chair. Even though now he has a proper place to sit, it seems like he just cannot stand still for very long. Still, he does seem genuinely involved in the conversation and genuinely concerned, even if his body language betrays him at times.
So you understand now why it is of grave importance that we send professionals to handle this, and not whelps. Alistair kind of adds in unnecessarily. As Taryn would speak up, well, I can assure you, the men that I gathered here today are capable of handling almost any threat that they can encounter. And if they can't, they understand what needs to be done to make sure that others can.
Hojin nods.
Now, if you may, I need to speak with them to debrief them more formally. Grand Magus, Grand Cross, if you please. He gestures to a side room as the two nod, and Zara moves without saying a word or complaining into that room as Alistair kind of gives gives Alex a hard sizing up, but Hojin a more respectable nod before moving into that room and closing the door behind him. Well, you can see why the formality was necessary.
Yeah, yes I do. It's a little out of my usual realm, but I can appreciate it this time.
Do they believe that the beast is ruin?
They might as well have said it, even though they didn't.
Gee, I wonder if they think the beast is ruined, considering they came to us. He just gives Hojin a quirky smirk as he says that.
Hojin
matter. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Hojin nods and listens in on what General has to say.
Of any matter. Taryn would scoot back, reach below his desk as he would pull out 3 glasses. And then reach down again and pull out what seems to be a bottle of whiskey. Gesturing towards either of you if you choose to accept.
Hojin will. He'll sip at it as the meeting goes on.
Don't mind if I do, take the glass politely at first, but then he'd just drink the whole thing in one go. And just adjust his shades as he does afterwards, like...
Vinny, member, the situation calls for a certain amount of professionalism that, well, I can't promise with a fresh recruit. And on the idea of threat of a witch queen, that's enough to get my attention. Let alone the threat of a coven.
Well, I don't know exactly about professionalism on my part, but I can promise you results.
To me, that is professionalism. Regardless of how uptight they think things need to be, he says as he downs his glass in a single go.
It just Alex will just like tap on the side of the chair that he's on, like, see, I knew I liked you. See, Angelo keeps getting on me for being late or having mismatched shoes. The whole thing is about keeping people safe.
Indeed.
Then again, I understand the necessary means of making people feel at ease, which Master Angelo, he corrects you, has a point.
You were this close to being woke and then you went broke. Alright, I understand. I'll do my best.
We hold the image of the people that can handle what goes bump in the night. Even if fancy shoes don't necessarily help with that in combat, easing people's minds does.
With all due respect, sir, I don't think I've ever been anywhere where telling them I'm a witch hunter eases their minds.
They might not like it, but they respect it. That's the power of the uniform, he says, pouring another shot for himself, and this time adding a shot of lithium to his.
Right. So, apart from what we already know, is there anything else we should be keeping in?
The area of question is a rather heavily forested and slightly difficult to traverse path. The town that is in question that this is all going down, he starts to look through his notes, is a small village called Murphy Hill, which apparently is within the Murph Wood Forest.
Do they sell animal feed there?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. You should probably stock up on it before you leave.
Yep, that's what I was afraid of. Okay.
We of the Order do not take threats or rumors lightly. Even if it's true or not that a witch queen or a coven may be there, I expect you all to do your best to investigate the matter and find results.
Arjun nods.
Do we expect any criminal activity in the area, given that it's so close to a target of importance, let's put it that way?
Getting my many writs from the complaints from Master Angelo, I'm one to believe that you would be more inclined to learn that than I at the moment.
It's important sometimes to not just be there for the lawful, but also for the unlawful sometimes, sir. Laws, after all, can unfortunately be subjective.
This I don't disagree with. If you find means of finding information, you have my permission to investigate whatever means is possible for you.
You'd see him just like try and stifle a smile. Voices. Okay, understood.
Ojin nods.
This is an official mission that is going to be sent out as a writ for Ruin Hunter Inquisition. But it's also going to be one of the first times that we're going to align with the Witch Hunters to see if we can do this in a joint manner. If the threat is both a ruin beast and a witch, I'd like two of my best there. As he looks towards you looks towards you, Hojin, and gives you a rather sorrowful smile. I wish I would have decided that first, before sending Brutus.
Ojin lowers his gaze and nods.
He was a good man. He was a good hunter.
Indeed. Hopefully, he's getting some rest where he's at.
I had a bard write a song about his burning, since you weren't here for it. I hope that one day you'll be able to listen to it.
Oh, I'd hope so too.
Hey, come on, people. Don't just think of the sad fact that they're gone. Think of the fact that you had great times with them. Murdering the ever-loving crap out of ruined creatures.
Ojin takes a longer sip from his cup.
Taryn would pass you a shot vial of lithium.
Ojin would nod in gratitude and take it, adding it to his drink.
As you do, Taryn would then finally stand and put his hand over his chest, the traditional salute for the Bruin Hunters.
Ojin gets up and does the same.
Alex will try and replicate it, although he is unfortunately not one for these things, so his, would look okay to anybody who doesn't know, but he's right next to two people who will 100% know that he's winged.
As he begins to say, when ruin bites, we bite back.
Ever harder.
When evil turns, we turn harder.
Ojin nods.
When those come to inflict an endless night, we are the burning fire. As he'd remove his arm and go back to his glass. Give me those results.
We will, sir. Don't worry.
Ojin nods. Bows. Thank you, General. Won't disappoint you. gives him a smile and then turns to Alex. How long do you need before we can depart?
Just let me make sure that we have enough food for my horse. I can take care of all the travel conveniences. My wagon has enough room for both of us. Just, I would suggest that you do not go in with anything smelly in there. The tent tends to catch all of that stuff, ends up reeking for days.
I'll take that under consideration.
Excuse me, I need to go buy some extra feed, more than normal. Probably some rations. I don't know how long we're going to be on the trip. How long do you think it's going to be on the trip?
So the travel to get there is going to take a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need more rations. I hope you can stomach rations of not so great quality, because I try to save on those.
Well, we'll need to.
You guys are preparing. Taryn would speak up. Gentlemen.
Sir.
This mission is of a judged for death marker. Which for each of you, you understand that to be one of the worst case scenario situation that a ruin and or witch hunter can be sent on. If a witch can't properly be found, or a ruin creature, a judge for death allows the witch and or ruin hunter on duty to execute his full capability of making sure no evil magics can spread from that location. And you understand exactly what that can entail.
Alex, as he hears that, will just look towards Hojin. It won't come to that, right?
Ocean gives a long frown and closes his eyes as he's remembering a few of the over the years where things have come close and perhaps even reached that point, and shakes his head. It will not.
I hope it doesn't. As you get the idea that you two have been dismissed, as Taryn sits back in his chair holding his glass and just looking to the side. Even though he's relatively young, the stress of the position he's in just shows as he's currently lounging in that chair with the whiskey in hand.
Yep, Ocean will leave.
Yep, Alex, understanding the situation, will leave as well alongside Hojin. And once they leave the door, they're away from earshot from the headmaster. He's just, Master Angelo. God, fuck that guy. Ugh.
Do you not have much respect for this Angelo?
Oh no, Hojin, don't get me wrong. I respect him, but he gets on my nerve. Just, who cares if I lose my jacket and my shirt and a couple of shoes while I'm taking care of a witch, as long as the witch is taking care of it? Or why does it matter if I need to talk to some black market fellows in order to understand where they're getting their supplies?
Hojin just stares at him, blinking. Indeed.
Okay. Do you need anything specific for the trip? I'm going to double check how many rations I have available.
I have a few rations for roughly give or take 3 weeks or so. That'll get me 2. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
But as you all begin to prepare for the journey at hand, you fetch the things that you may need that seem important enough for you to warrant bringing to deal with a coven, a ruin beast, or a witch queen. As eventually, half a day passes as you will meet down towards Alex's cart and horse. The late afternoon sun painting the sky in a orange hue.
You'd see that Alex has changed his clothes to something a bit more comfortable for the start, more light, or somewhat different set of clothing, but he still looks as much of a walking disaster as always. Once again, the androgynous nature of his looks still hits you like a truck. He was doing the finishing details on the wagon as well as taking care of the horse. It says, "Oh, you ready to depart, buddy?"
Hojin gives him a small smile and climbs up on the cart, throwing his bag in the back. Sure thing, friend.
Oh, friend. That's a big step forward. All right. He will get on the cart with him and he will get things underway as soon as, given that he's bought enough feed for the horse, bought some extra rations just in case, bought himself an extra sword.
What's
Which totally isn't because he lost his old sword. Totally not at all.
What's your she? He?
She, and wouldn't know. Never been able to ask.
Oh. Do they have a name?
Well, I imagine the horse gave itself a name at some point. Or, its horse parents. But, I don't speak horse. You don't happen to speak horse, do you?
No.
Crap, that's a mystery we're gonna have to deal with that for now. So, as Hojin gets on the wagon, again, everything inside is still a mess. There will be files from his old cases, there's words from contacts and the like. The one thing in the entire clique that seems to be well taken care of is, curiously enough, the horse.
And as you stare upon this, you kind of have your gaze look over the Black Keep, and it falls on the slender and aged form of Amelia, who's currently standing at the top of the Black Keep's staircase, looking towards you, Hojin. An impassable set of emotions currently placed on her face, as she's seemingly standing there watching.
Hojin gives her a nod and a reassuring smile.
Alex just leans there. Girlfriend?
No, colleague.
So you're not there yet. Alright, I got you. No worries, homie. So he just continues handling the horses.
She raises her hand and does a very short wave and just pauses and grips the hand in a tight fist and lets it fall to the side and covers it with her other hand and just begins to purse her lips, standing there, probably one of the last remaining members of Class 75. Outside of yourself.
We'll get through this, he says out loud, more to himself.
Of course we will.
He nods, kind of just looking out just into space.
With that, you guys prepare everything you need. As Alex, you give the horse a nice, gentle tap. And with that, your journey begins as the sound of the wagon currently crushing over cobble on the ground echoes. The entire cart begins to shift, bumping side to side with the turbulent ground. And as you guys continue on, Hojin, you give one final look out behind you towards the staircase. And still standing there, watching you leave, she continues to wave, or begins to wave. With that, the black gate opens as your cart crosses the drawbridge. And after some time, moving into the distance, the drawbridge pulls closed as the black iron gates close. And your journey begins. I think that's where we're going to end it. Alright, that was Requiem Judged for Death. A little side campaign thing that we're probably going to start doing now because that was fun.
Yeah!
Oh boy.
Thank you guys.
I hope you realize, Peach, I am going to make you suffer.
It'll be fine. Everything will be fine.
But yeah, thanks you guys for listening, that are coming to listen. And we're going to go ahead and head out now. But yeah, I'm probably going to be uploading this to my Requiem YouTube channel, which, if you are not following, you can just follow Nidex Gamer on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all the the normal handle stuff. But if you want to follow my Requiem specific YouTube, you can go ahead and attempt to find it, because I don't know if you can find it yet because of Google's stupid rule on how I can name my YouTube channels. But it is a Requiem tabletop game on YouTube. I will post the link in chat and maybe in the video. Let's see if I can do this smoothly enough as you two talk about how interesting this game was and fun. Yeah.
I am interested to see where this partnership goes, because I'm really interested to see how their personalities coexist and maybe perhaps clash as things go on.
Oh, that reminds me. Knight. I'll give you the link to where I got the picture on the avatar from. I'm not sure if it's... I imagine it's probably a good idea to leave the credit of that. Because I don't want anybody thinking that I just, like, didn't grab them. Okay.
But yeah. So, how'd you like playing Alex, Aliens?
I like him. I like him a lot. And most of that just came out of just improvising a fucking disaster of a person.
No, that's basically how a lot of my roleplay with Val comes up with. It's just, what's a funny thing to say right now? Ah, okay. I'll say that.
Like with him is just it's
you don't
just
worry about looking
never ready. Never ready is the best way to put it.
Yeah, but it's like you say things and you don't care about like looking sort of like an idiot in that situation because just like this person's a mess. It's completely in character for them to say this. I get to be bumbling and it's fun.
I guess the best way to put it is that he's a bit like a witch hunter version of Jack Sparrow. You know, it's a fucking mess in every single form except relatively strong moral bone behind them when it comes to terrible situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to play this a lot more often because that was fun. I enjoyed these characters and playing the more Ruin Hunter side of things since we haven't been able to explore that much on Requiem.
It's interesting playing a game with just 2 players.
Certainly will be.
I hope you have melee covered because I do not have melee covered in the slide.
Yeah. Jesus.
Loud.
But with that, we will call it. And thank you guys for watching and listening and joining us. And we will see you later. Peace.
Peace. Oh yeah, Hojin's got
Yeah.
like melee's like one of his best things. Like he's better in melee.
Okay, good, because this guy can hit things very hard from a distance.